Come, let us explore what Zen masters don't tell you about meditation. Together, let us relaxingly recite. Nothing dispels the disinformation, misinformation, mythology, and superstition surrounding mindfulness and meditation quite like neuroscience. Un momento. Gotta cook my lower back. Here we go. Let us begin by considering mindfulness. Every time we inhale, we are wired to access the sympathetic nervous system, ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way. Vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, which is quite antithetical to the rigidity and controlling tendencies inherent to concentration. But what have we evolved to notice? We have evolved to notice perceptions, such as seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like. We have also evolved to notice the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. If this mindfulness is the natural function of our sympathetic nervous system, then why do we sit down every 12 hours or so to formally practice? Every time we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this or the verb noticing during our inhalation, we interrupt the habit of our clever cerebral cortex to compete against our sympathetic nervous system. And instead we set space for these two to cooperate. What are we to do with all we notice? With each inhalation, we are wired to notice all manner of things. From the internal to the external, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. But what are we to do with all this stuff? Meditate. So come, let us explore the neuroscience of meditation. Each time we exhale, we are wired to effortlessly and automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system, which is divided between the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord we mentioned previously. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support our physical relaxation as well as mental release of that which we noticed during our previous inhalation to the point that oopsie, that's three that's to the point that that which we noticed during our previous, let's see, I tried editing and reading simultaneously and my brain exploded. The parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support our physical relaxation as well as mental release of that which we noticed during our previous inhalation to the point that that which we noticed could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Now, any good English teacher could remind us that a simile is only as effective as it is relatable. Thus, we have to ask the question, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although compelling to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand? Thus, we could see emptiness only makes sense when seen through a flexible world view that accepts that not all statements are literal, requiring blind faith or pseudo-intellectual gymnastics. One might ask, if this relaxing and releasing is the natural behavior of our parasympathetic nervous system, then why bother sitting in mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so? Each time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease or the multisyllabic verb relaxing during our exhalation, we are interrupting the habit of our clever cerebral cortex to actively compete against our parasympathetic nervous system. Instead, open space for these two to cooperate in a delightfully therapeutic manner. For some of us, sitting in mindfulness and meditation for about an hour twice daily is absolutely no problem. However, some of us could require a more gradual or hedonistic approach. Thus, sitting in mindfulness and meditation for about 5 minutes every 12 hours or so could be a good start. The second week, that could be lengthened to 10 minutes every 12 hours. The third week, that could be lengthened to 15 minutes every 12 hours. Over the course of 12 weeks, one could progress by an additional 5 minutes every week, and thusly condition one's body and mind to sit for an hour every 12 hours or so. One of the benefits of this incremental approach is that it could give our body, mind, partner, pets, children, and schedule an opportunity to gently acclimate to this lifestyle change. Walking in the Buddha's footsteps, we too could master mindfulness and meditation. Having completed our opening lesson, it's time to shift gears. It is Qui-Gon Jinn Tuesday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. So now let us turn our attention to the latest iteration of very easy meditation practice text, or sadhana, if you're nasty. Together. Whatever comes, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Whatever stays, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Whatever goes, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. One moment, please. All class, all the time. Upon the tip of our left index finger, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger, palms up, in our lap. Doing so could gently invite or real or imagine subtle energies to automatically coalesce in the crown region of our head. Let us review how mindfulness works every time we I already did that during the opening lesson, so that doesn't matter. What's the most efficient way to cooperate with our autonomic nervous system? by silently and mentally reciting, noticing, and relaxing in harmony with our respective inhalations and exhalations. Together, let us practice right now. And remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist recitation, Buddhist meditation, or Buddhist philosophy, do not hesitate to type your question in the chat window. Oh, I forgot a phrase. Do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. There you go. Together, let us relaxingly recite an excerpt from the vast expanse of the diamond-like mind, also known as Dorje Sempa Namkha Che, composed approximately 1400 years ago by Prahe Vajra, translated from the Tibetan by Chokyo Namkhai Norbu, translated from the Italian by Adriano Clemente, adapted and amplified by yours truly. Together. The universal path that is the same as that is like the moon and the basis of its reflection, as it is not the absolute, as it is the absolute equality of all, and is not realized through a limited view. What is the universal path? It is the Buddha's path of enlightenment, something that actually works. The Buddha taught that full enlightenment could be accomplished in as little as 7 days. So if you have a teacher who says full enlightenment is for special people and a special time, and that time ain't now, and those people aren't you, thank them for their time and then be on your merry way. The universal path is very easy. Consider the old saw of the moon and its reflection. If on a clear night you see the moon reflected upon the surface of water, you can see it with your eye, but you cannot grasp it with your hand. And that is the basic truth, the basic teaching of the two truths. There is that which we perceive during our inhalation and that which we experience during our exhalation, when we notice and when we relax. When we breathe in, things are very, very different. There's dog do over there and there's chocolate over there. Very, very different. But when we relax into our exhalation, even a duality as harsh as poo-poo and chocolate share the same non-graspable nature. This is not something that needs to be believed. This is not something that needs to be reasoned. It's something we're already wired to understand just through the workings of our autonomic nervous system. So there's a lot of people, in fact, the majority of people, Sturgeon's Law reminds us 90% of everything sucks. What could that suckiness look like? It could look like being so rigid and fearful and superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel that you would deliberately constrict your perception to a single point and call that focus or concentration. But such a limited perception binds our hands, not in the fun BDSM way. It hobbles us on the journey to enlightenment. We have evolved to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, which is the opposite of concentration. Let us pray. Let us continue. The universal path is the same as that, is like the reflection of the moon and the basis of its reflection. As it is the absolute equality of all, is not realized through a limited view. The universal path that is the same as that is like the moon and the basis of its reflection. As it is the absolute equality of all, it is not realized through a limited view. The universal path that is the same as that is like the moon and the basis of its reflection. As it is the absolute equality of all, it is not realized through a limited view. On the tip of our left little finger, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce in the bladder region of our lower abdomen. Let us review mindfulness. Every time we inhale, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, we have evolved to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. What are we to do with that which we notice? We meditate. You see, every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, our parasympathetic nervous system enables us to both physically relax as well as mentally release. The most efficient way to cooperate with this process is to silently and mentally recite the verbs noticing and relaxing in harmony with our respective inhalations and exhalations. Let's shift gears and together relaxingly recite 4 repetitions of the following excerpt. Present bliss and later bliss are what is directly experienced and what ensues from it. Since they imply the defect of an aspect of our ground or Buddha nature, one should not rely on them. So our ground or Buddha nature is a charming Iron Age way of saying we have an autonomic nervous system that's in 2 halves. During our inhalation, because of the first half of our autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic half, we're able to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. And during our exhalation, we automatically access the second half of our autonomic nervous system, the parasympathetic aspect, which helps us to both physically relax and mentally release. The more we practice this mindfulness and meditation, the more we find that our choices and our utterances and our deeds flow from love's centered spontaneity. Not scattered spontaneity, but centered spontaneity. The more we practice this, the more we stimulate a portion of our brain known as the anterior cingulate gyrus, which is our seat of empathy. So rather than indulging the fundamental duality of hating pain and craving pleasure, hating punishment and loving reward, let us throw aside the notion of karma and simply flow from the highest love, which is the spontaneous and uncontrived fringe benefit of playing with mindfulness and meditation. Together. Present bliss and later bliss are what is directly experienced and what ensues from it. Since they imply the defect of an aspect of our ground or Buddha nature, one should not rely on them. Present bliss and later bliss are what is directly experienced and what ensues from it. Since they imply the defect of an aspect of our ground or Buddha nature, one should not rely on them. Present bliss and later bliss are what is directly experienced and what ensues from it. Since they imply the defect of an aspect of our ground or Buddha nature, one should not rely on them. Welcome to the 3rd quarter of this morning's live stream. Upon the tip of our left middle finger, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the heart region of our chest. How does mindfulness work? During each inhalation, thanks to the work of our sympathetic nervous system, we're able to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, fleetingly notice all manner of phenomena. From the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. What are we to do with all that which we notice? Why, we meditate. For every time we exhale, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, we are wired to both physically relax as well as mentally release. That being the case, what is the most efficient way to cooperate? with these facets of our neural anatomy. Simple. All we need to do is silently and mentally recite the verbs noticing and relaxing, in harmony with our respective inhalations and exhalations. Together, let us do that right now. Together, let us relaxingly recite 4 repetitions of this 26th passage. Excuse me. The 3 times are one, without distinction, without past or future, it exists from the beginning. Since all are the same, as they are pervaded by the Dharmakaya, it abides in nature as complete greatness. Whatever past, so as we relax into our exhalation, whatever past or present we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could each feel less graspable. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever present and future we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could taste of non-graspability. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever past or future we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could each smack of non-graspability. Thus, whatever we perceive can be fuel for our practice of mindfulness and meditation, or awareness and release that leads to the mastery whereby we practice them spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. The completeness we are seeking from is not in acquiring emotions or in shedding emotions, but in simply noticing the 3-ring shit show of the present moment and making peace with it. The 3 times together. The 3 times are one, without distinction, without past, present, or future. It exists from the beginning. Since all are the same, as they are pervaded by the Dharmakaya, it abides in nature as complete greatness. The 3 times are one, without distinction, without past or future. It exists from the beginning. Since all are the same, as they are pervaded by the Dharmakaya, it abides in nature as complete greatness. The 3 times are one, without distinction, without past or future. It exists from the beginning. Since all are the same, as they are pervaded by the Dharmakaya, it abides in nature as complete greatness. Welcome to the final quarter of this morning's live stream. Upon the tip of our left ring finger, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger, palms up, in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the navel region of our mid-abdomen. Let us review how mindfulness works during each inhalation thanks to our sympathetic nervous system. We are wired to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice dualities. such as dread and desire, danger and safety, or lack and boon, pain and pleasure, scorn and praise, shame and fame. What are we to do with that which we notice? Simple. We meditate. You see, every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, our parasympathetic nervous system helps us to both physically relax as well as mentally release. What is the most efficient way to cooperate with this natural process? By silently and mentally reciting the verbs noticing and then relaxing in harmony with our respective inhalations and exhalations. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 and 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.